Doad Edwards.
Keri Croft.
Welcome to the Keri Croft Show.
Thank you for having me.
I am, shall I say, pleased as punch to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I mean,
I'm flattered that you asked me.
I mean, I'm flattered that you said yes. The man, the myth, the legend. Why, you ask? Why am I flattered that you're here? Okay. Well, first of all, let's get into this first before we get into what a talented golf swing I have, what a gifted golf swing I have. We'll start with this.
Okay.
Okay. Because I know all your boys out there who want to listen to your podcast, right? They know Doad. I mean, Doad is, and I've only known you for how long? Like, let's frame this up. I mean, let's be honest.
Week and a half.
I've known you for 6 months.
Okay, fine.
But that's not that long.
No.
But here's what's special about you. And this is, and with my personality is I feel like I have like a magnet to this type of person where I met you and I was like, uh-oh, Doad. I'm like, now I'm life without Doad isn't going to exist because this guy is a colorful force of nature. And I want to tell you from my perspective, rolling up to the Ohio State golf course. So I come in, park. The first thing I do is I look to my left and I look for the gray coif of hair. And I look for the color you're going to have on, that all these colors that aren't going to match, but that blend so gloriously together. And you're tan and you're handsome and you just are a force. And so you have, I feel like your joy and color personified on that course.
Thank you.
And it's just pretty special, I think.
Appreciate that.
And I also think I've never met anyone who can just bitch slap somebody with their eyeballs like you. I mean, so you go from, here you are and you have what I just said, teed it up with the color and all that. And then somebody will do something. And whether it's you see somebody smoking a cig secretly behind or, a kid doesn't tip his hat. And then all of a sudden, Doad's eyeballs, like at the cartoons, are, you have.
It's called the look.
Well, but it's a presence. And I feel like with you, there's so many layers to this. It's like you respect the course, you respect what you do.
Totally.
And you respect the game of golf.
Completely. And
I just love how the way you are there ties into the way you are probably everywhere. I doubt that you are any different in your life with having respect and showing appreciation.
Without a doubt. You have to. This is, again, being almost 100, Didn't
I call you fossil the other day?
You did.
You took it well.
I did. And you did. Thank you. We were children of my era. For the most part, we were reared differently than what kids are today, for the most part. My grandpa Nardini and my father, my grandfather spanked me once, and that was it.
And you knew?
Oh, he just looked, and that's where I got the look from. He taught me a ton. So this is kind of where we're going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're growing up Catholic. We would go to Mass on Sundays, go to my grandparents' house for breakfast when I wasn't caddying or working on the golf course. And he always smoked a cigar. So he had a favorite chair, and he'd sit in his chair after breakfast and smoke a cigar. Now we're talking mid to late 50s. So smoking in the house is still going on, even though my grandmother hated it. Bless her heart. So anyway, one day I asked him, and it's like he was waiting for me. I said, "Grandpa, can I have a puff of your cigar?" "Oh, Doady, you don't puff a cigar." He gets out of his chair, has me sit down, unwraps a brand new cigar, goes to light it. He said, "Now you take a real deep breath." And I did, because I always obeyed him. For the next hour, I was in the bathroom blowing my guts. He comes in, grabs me by the nape of the neck, pulls my head up, looks at me very sternly with that John Nardini look. "You ever smoke again, I will tan every part of your ass that your father doesn't." Head went back into the toilet. That was the last time I ever smoked. Seriously.
I believe that.
That was it. My children growing up, they got basically the same thing. I think I spanked my kids each, maybe once. The rest of the time, and even today, don't give me the look, Dad.
I mean, can you imagine spanking your kid today?
Oh.
They'd have the po-po out for you.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's crazy.
And this is an interesting situation that happened last night at one of our grandson Max's basketball game. Lady who does all the photography. She was down in the front row, and this young man from the other school came walking by, or was going to, and he stopped, backed up, waited for her to finish. I told my wife, Nancy, I go, did you see that? She goes, what? Bless her heart. Nancy, if it's not in front of her face, she doesn't really see it. Anyhow, no big deal. Not a lot of peripheral vision. Heart of gold, but not a lot of peripheral vision. Anyhow, waited until halftime. Went down. I said to this young man, I said, may I talk to you for a second? Kind of eyes got huge. He goes, yes, sir. Sat down. I told him, I said, I watched you as you stopped while this lady was taking a photograph. I said, please go home and tell your parents that you were the nicest young man that this old man had ever seen. He looked at me, and his older brother was behind him, and he goes, did he do something wrong? And I said, on the contrary. I said, he was a perfect gentleman. I said, your parents reared you well. Congratulations.
And you know what? And that's important. It's really important. And it leads me naturally into this just quick snapshot that I have of you at the golf course. And we were, you were admiring my impeccable swing.
You what?
And these three little boys were walking by, and you kind of said, you bitch slapped them with the eyeballs and said something, and the one little boy they tipped their caps, and you went on to say, about etiquette and how important it is to tip your cap.
Yes.
And something so, seemingly small really isn't small at all.
Not at all. Now, but okay, we'll continue on that segment. And again, everybody that listens to this, that knows me, have seen me do this. I will have a young man come by who we have met. I will say hello, or he walks close enough that we go to shake hands, says I'm a big handshaker. He doesn't take off his hat right away. He and I are downward doing 20 push-ups together. Parents, I don't think I've ever had a parent say to me, you're not allowed to do that, because they all say, thank you for doing that. And a lot of the times the parent will say, even we'll use you for, the mother would say, my husband doesn't do that. I said, that's why I'm teaching your son to do it. He'll teach dad how to do it. Again, I grew up in an era when the manners were so important that people hadn't forgotten them. That's why if I go to a store, a lady's coming in behind me, I open up the door for her. She's coming out, I'll open up the door and she'll, you don't have to do that. And I'll say, yes, I do. I said, chivalry isn't dead. It's just a dying art. And if I give a young lady golf lessons and she's walking up and I'll go grab her clubs from her, and she shouldn't say grab it, I'll take her clubs from her. And Karen said, you don't have to do that. And I said, oh, yes, I do. I said, when you're old enough to date and the young man comes, he sits in the car and he honks the horn for you to come out. I said, don't you dare go out that door. If he comes to the door and he doesn't open the door for you, tell him it would have been fun. You go out, you go to a restaurant or a theater or whatever. He doesn't open the door for you. You've got your phone. Hey, mom, hey, dad, could you please come pick me up? This isn't working. He doesn't help you with your chair when you go to sit down. I said, these are little things that you're looking for, because you want the person who's going to do all those things for you.
And when you and I were talking prior to this, sort of having a conversation about how this conversation would go, we talked about the biggest influence in your life and who you were the closest with growing up. And you talked a lot about your mom.
Right.
And so if you wouldn't mind sharing just the two things you told me that your mom instilled in you. And because I think that, that's sort of what you're saying is just what she taught you has been weaved over time into all of your relationships.
Well, you can never be too kind to someone. And that a lady is without a doubt to be set on a pedestal. And if you don't, you're a prick.
Don't you think too, and I've always in my head, there's a quote, watch how a man treats his mother, because this is how he will treat you.
Correct.
And it sounds to me that you and your mom just had this.
We had a tremendous bond.
This tremendous relationship. After
my mother passed away, my sister, who still lives up in Ashland, bless her heart, she's a phenomenal lady. Hopefully we all have a few minutes, we'll get into Rita. She kept her cell phone. And every day I would call my mom's cell phone just to hear her voice. That was very important. So
yeah. And you had said that, I believe you said appreciation was one thing that your mom had always taught you, and then respect.
Oh, without a doubt. You have to appreciate everything that you have, whether you have very little. Appreciate the fact that you have that, because trust me, there are people who don't have even that.
In your mind's eye, do you have moments? I mean, I'm sure you remember your mom in so many ways, but do you have any moments in time where you go back and you can just see her, you can see the interaction or things you did together? Or what was your thing? Did you have a thing that you did together?
What time of the day would you like me to tell you that I do this? Because I do it every time, every day. I can picture my mother getting out of a car, picking up the phone, just giving me a hug. Yeah.
I'm like, who's going to cry first? I'm not crying. You're crying, Doad. We're 15 minutes in.
You see me as one person that you see on the golf course. I am without a doubt the biggest sentimental fool you ever want to meet in your life.
Oh, believe me, I can see your heart. I mean, I saw a man who has Christmas sound effects on his phone, no matter what time of year you call him. It's amazing.
They're not sound effects.
What are they?
Okay. It is the song, The Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
Got it.
And I got this new phone because all I had was a flip phone and we couldn't put that song on it. So I had to get a new phone so this song could go on it.
But I mean, that's amazing to me that no matter what day, no matter what month, that plays on your phone.
Every time it rings.
And I love that about you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible.
You can ask anybody. I'm the biggest Christmas nut there is.
I love it. Okay, so let's move into. I want to talk a little bit. We can come back to your mom too, but the last thing you and I want to do is cry the entire time. Correct. We can do a little. We can do that a couple times.
Which we would do.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so golf. You were introduced to golf originally
age 5,
and then you were just hooked.
I knew it's what I wanted to do my entire life.
Were you naturally good at it?
No.
Okay.
I'm still not naturally. Nobody ever becomes, well, I shouldn't say that. Probably you've got, and I will go back through, again, like I said, being almost 100. I've lived and seen a lot of the very, very best golfers that have graced our planet, male or female. Mickey Wright probably had one of the most natural golf swings. And if you don't know her, folks, Google her and watch this golf swing. It was never tampered with. You can go back to Bobby Jones. Same thing. Ben Hogan. He worked and worked and worked. He's a gentleman that came up with the phrase, you have to dig it out of the dirt. because that's what he had to do to learn how to play the game. We go to Jack, and being fortunate enough to have known Mr. Grout and worked with him and listened to him, he used to help Jack find his way. Did he really teach Jack a lot? Probably not. Those are words out of Mr. Grout's mouth. I helped him. I didn't teach him. Then you go to Tiger. You talk about ability. The man has rebuilt his swing minimal 4 times. And every time he has gotten better. The world is waiting right now to see what he can do after that horrendous accident.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger will find a way. Will he ever be able to do what he did? Probably not. And the only reason I say that, you ask any great athlete, could you repeat what you did last year? And they're going to tell you no. So, but these guys, they all had a way of developing their own swing. And that's something I think people have to understand. It's your own swing. It's your own timing. It's your own rhythm. Unfortunately, I think, and I'm going to catch a lot of flack from this from people, but I'm sorry, I'm Doad, and I'm old, and I can say these things. Too many times people want you to do what somebody else does with their golf swing. Cannot happen. We can't repeat the golf swing that we have every time we want to, because I'll use an old word, biorhythms aren't the same. We don't feel the same every day. We've got an ache here, we've got an ache there. So the golf is something. I just finished with a gentleman before I came here, and we've been working about 6 months. I asked him, well, Eric, what do you want to do with this? He said, I want to be really good. I said, okay, in your mind, what is really good? He said, I want to be able to shoot 80. I said, to do that, I said, you're already there as far as striking the ball goes. I said, you've got to learn to chip and putt. That's where the game is, folks. You can stand up on the driving range, hit all the balls you want to, but there's only one problem. You're not on the golf course. You don't learn to play golf on the driving range. You learn to play golf on the golf course. You learn how to chip and putt on the golf course. And that's what people don't do today. They want to hit the ball far, and they want to impress their friends that ball went 300 yards. Well, when they say that to me, I look at them, I say, okay, let's hit a couple. See, that went 300 yards. I say, I hate to break your heart. Maybe 220, maybe. But it rolled all the way out to the fence. I said, well, wait a minute. I didn't say where it ended up. I said, when I ask somebody how far a ball goes, I want to know how far it's going to fly. I said, you're not flying at 300 yards. Bounce and roll might get you there if you're playing on a tarmac. Then you're going to have to learn again, back to the chipping and putting. That's where the score comes from.
So when you were 5, did you remain consistent then throughout your life with golf? Like you were hooked? Okay, so when did you become, when did you become serious and you were just going to be on the golf? Because I feel like it's such a sophisticated game. I'm just curious at what age you were golfing on a regular basis. I was golfing on a regular basis. Now, again, regular basis. For a lot of people, that's once a week. For other people, it's 5 times a week. I was hooked because I liked the idea of figuring out what was going on. And again, I'm 5 years old. There's no video. There's none of this. There's none of that. You have to go out and you have to learn to hit golf balls. I would go out on a golf course and I would have 5 golf balls with me. When I got home, I better have 5 golf balls or more in my golf bag, or my father was taking me back to the golf course and I was going to go out and find those golf balls. Again, discipline.
just the idea of becoming better. I think it was probably I was in junior high and I wanted to play. I wanted to play in the high school golf team. Then I wanted to play in college, which was fun because I had the same golf coach in college that I had in high school. But I only got to play 2 years in college because I didn't want to be there. And I was politely asked to leave.
Really?
I flunked out, sure.
Okay.
I didn't want to be there. I have no problem. I tell this to people all the time. Then I joined the Navy, had a great 4.5 years, played on the all-Navy golf team. That's when I probably really got serious because I didn't want to get beat. So, and then it just grew and grew and grew into that.
Okay.
I don't want to say my biggest, it's not a regret. Understanding of the game came when I was down in Houston, Texas. I'd met a gentleman. We became friends. I'd go down and visit him every once in a while. And we were out playing golf at a course called Lochinvar. Again, we're talking late 70s. Lochinvar was an all-male golf club.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, well, what can I tell you?
Just had to. No, I just had to. I had to put my little "here we go."
Go ahead.
All male golf
Keri,
club. Nobody wants to be in your all male golf club anyway.
Wait a minute. Nobody ever said women can't have their own club.
No, I know.
You can put your own course together. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. You can do it.
Keep going. I just had to
say
it.
That's all right. Mm-hmm. So I met a gentleman by the name of Dick Harmon. He was not at Lochinvar. He was at another club. But back to he was playing this day with us. And he invited us over to River Oaks. And we go over there and we're playing. And we got done. He goes, "We got to go play Champions." I said, "Okay." So we went to Champions. We played. And I got to play with Jackie Burke Jr. And we were out there. We get done. And I played pretty well. Real well, as a matter of fact.
What was your score?
I had 73.
I mean, I knew you knew the score.
Oh, you don't ever forget.
Right. That's a good score.
I can go back and tell you almost every shot I've ever made.
That's a really good match.
It was a good match. Anyway, we get done. We're having a couple of drinks. He said, "What do you want to do with your game?" I said, "Oh, I want to play on tour." He said, "You have no chance." I go, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll explain why." So he did. He asked me 3 questions about myself, my friend Swing, and the other gentleman that we were playing with. He said, "Now, I watched you. You were intent on seeing what they were doing, figuring things out." He said, "You've got a great set of eyes." He said, "You got a pretty good personality." He said, "Learn to become a good teacher." He said, "You don't have the killer instinct to play golf." He said, "If I'd have hit the ball where you hit it today," he said, "I'd have broken the course record." He said, "You didn't sniff it." My heart was broken, but it led me down this path of teaching, helping people. The competitive part never happened until I got into racing, i.e. running, which came from Nancy and I following our son Patrick around at marathons, and I'd run from spot to spot.
So you got bit by the...
Oh, bitten. Oh, I mean, to get bitten by the golf bug when I was young has nothing to compare to the running bug. Go ahead.
Because I know we have the running, I do want to discuss this, but before I let go of what you were saying earlier, you said, this isn't a regret, but do you have any regrets?
About golf?
In general, just in life. Anything that you look back on, you're like, that was a big regret.
There probably are, but I've never dwelled on them.
Like, do you regret leaving college, or you're like, no, it was meant to take me to the Navy?
No, not at all. No, not at all. I went to the Navy. I worked with the ophthalmologist for 3.5 years in surgery. I learned so much. Again, we're talking 1970 to 1975 in that era. I mean, the stuff that I was able to do with the surgeon, I mean, any of this stuff would happen today, shit, we'd both be thrown in jail. I mean, they let you assist them.
Yeah.
I mean, and this was something that I loved. So, but no, I really don't have any regrets.
Because you wouldn't regret being a sexy beast. Because, you are a sexy beast, but there's really not a regret there.
No, that's not true at all. A regret might be if I've done or said something to Nancy that I've regretted. Yes. But
well, that's marriage sometimes.
Well, yeah, it is. But sometimes I can be a little explosive.
No, I didn't get that impression at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. I want to take another trip back before we go forward into running.
Okay.
Because when we were talking the other day, I had said, I'm so curious to get your take about mental health and anxiety and depression, and how today it's becoming so much more talked about, and the stigma is hopefully, continuing to go away. And when you were younger, it had to have been so different. And especially since you were a male, talk to me, because I think that's a decent assumption to make. It's hard enough for any human, but I think men, have really taken sort of this, just as a species, they aren't able to show their emotion, or something is perceived as weakness, which is really isn't, but it's just been a perception.
Right.
So when you were growing up, talk to me about that. How did you process if you felt depressed, or did you feel depressed, and anxiety, and what that looked like?
Oh God, I know where we're going with this. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just leading you little breadcrumbs.
Okay. So we're going back to grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or scoring.
That phrase hadn't been thought about yet. Okay. Abe hadn't said that. Okay. Grade school. When I went to parochial school, we were down in the basement having our pictures taken. And I am approximately 9 years old. I am about 5 foot tall. I weigh roughly 2 1/4. My mother would cut the label husky out of my clothing so that I didn't realize it. I sit down to have my pictures taken, and the photographer, and again, this is exactly what you're saying. In today's world, the guy would be tarred and feathered. He looks at me and he says, "All right, Jelly Belly, smile for me." Well, the picture never got taken. I jump up. I run up the stairs. Luckily, my parents' store is only about 3 blocks away from the school. Because as I hit the top 2 stairs, I slipped, fell, ended up with 7 stitches in my bottom lip. And you asked me about regrets. Yeah, I regretted the fact that I was that heavy, and I'd let myself go. And that's part of when I decided no more. Men, I don't know that I ever saw my father physically cry. But men weren't supposed to. Me, on the other hand, I sobbed. I've never been one to, I get mad. If I get mad at you and I yell at you, there's a good chance, probably about a 99.9% chance, that I'm going to come back, I'm going to shake your hand, hug you, and I'm going to have tears rolling down my eyes because I feel so bad because I did something to you or said something to you that didn't need to be done. But that's somewhat of the, and I'll put it as it's the Italian heritage where the temper comes from. Mm-hmm. Not right. Don't get me wrong. That's not an okay. It doesn't let me get away doing anything. And that part is a regret. Yes. I wish I didn't have that temperament.
Or that you took space between reacting.
Correct.
You took a moment.
Correct.
Before reacting.
I don't take moments.
You still don't?
Oh, no.
I mean, I see you on the golf course. You're not taking a moment.
Oh, no, I don't take a moment. I react. Mm-hmm. Yes, no. Mm-hmm. No.
So when you were raising kids and you had no problem showing emotion then. Like they would
None.
see you cry.
Oh, yes.
And everybody was open to be able to
yes.
feel what they felt.
Oh, yeah.
And if they
Without
were depressed or if they had anxiety, there was no shame in that game.
Not a bit. Not a bit. Shouldn't be. A child should be able to express themselves to their parents. And if they can't, shame on the parent.
Yeah.
Same way again with grandkids. I mean, I want my grandchildren to express themselves to me. Mm-hmm. Well, I see again, we were at Hastings basketball game last night. Max is playing. His twin brother he's wrestling. He comes in from practice. There's not even a question what's going to happen. He knows it. He's going to give me a big ass hug. I'm going to give him a kiss on the top of the head. He's going to do the same thing with Nancy. And, there was a time when he'd say, "Oh, Doady, my friends." I said, "I don't care less what your friends think. They need to learn how to do this."
Yeah. Well, just so your grandkids all know, you are as proud of a grandparent. I mean, the way you talk about your grandkids just like warms my heart.
Thank you.
It's pretty special.
And I can't wait for the other two grandkids because we have 3 with Matt and Lisa. Mitchell, who's up at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. Max and Reed here at Hastings. And then over in Springfield, we have Mila and Christian. And I can't wait for them to become old enough that some of these things get to happen.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it back to we parlay from golf into running.
Okay.
And so that you start to run because you're going to marathons. And then what happened? You just discovered that, hey, I'm a really good runner?
I knew I was a good runner.
I run real fast?
I never said real fast.
I think you're pretty
I knew
fast.
I was a good runner. Again, we can go back to the service, playing football, things like this. I had a good set of hands. I could catch, I could run. Nobody's going to catch me. I didn't want anybody to catch me. I didn't want to get hit. Didn't want to get tackled. So, I am somewhat of a panty waist. So I do not like to be beat up. Okay.
Can anyone blame you for that? Really? Who wants to get beat up?
But no, when we were, this is 12 years ago, 13 years ago this year, up at in Westerville, they have what they call the first on the first, 5K. And had never run a race, did this, bless my wife's heart. She takes a photograph of me as I'm finishing with the time. And we got done. They were doing awards. And at that point, it would have been, I was in the 50 to 59 age group. And they call out a gentleman's name with the time. Wait a minute, I beat him. So I went up after all the awards were done. I was being polite at this point. I hadn't run enough. They didn't know me. Walked up with Nancy's phone, said, "Here, that's what I finished in." And sure enough, they checked the records. And I won my age group. And the gentleman who was running the operation said, "Well, I said, no. I said, "Don't embarrass this person." I said, "It's all right." I said, "I just want to make sure that you know that I did win." And that was kind of set off the competitive juices.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say I never entered a race, which I'll gloat. It got to be a sickness. But it's also a great way to raise a lot of money for a lot of really good causes.
So you were addicted to it.
That's being polite. Seriously, that's being polite. I would do anywhere from 80 to 90 races a year.
Did that become a problem? In any other facet? Was Nancy like, "Hey, bro"?
No, bless her heart.
"Hey, Forrest.
The first.
I just felt like running."
The first 2 years. We're on camera. I can't do it. I'd like
Go
to do
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
No.
Why hold back? There you go.
She would go with me to almost every race. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to a road race before and observed. The only thing that might be more boring than that is watching grass grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she
Bless her heart.
Oh, God bless her heart.
Shout out to Nancy.
Oh, hell yes. Many times. But I wasn't entering the race to just run. I wanted to win. And not just my age group. I would look to see who was there. Can I win the whole thing? And I could. Every once in a while, I'd get lucky and I'd win the entire race. Now, maybe it wasn't the best quality of runners that were there, like you might have it at a marathon. But your local 5Ks, yeah, I could hold my own. I could finish. If I didn't finish in the top 5, I was really pissed. And again, my age group meant nothing to me because I wanted to win it all.
Have we psychoanalyzed this at all?
No.
So is it just you just liked running, you liked winning? But can we like peel it back a bit, because we all have our inner child and we all have our things that drive us inside, but was there anything about that when you would win those races or the addiction of running? Sure. What was underneath that? The
fact that I said earlier, raising a lot of money for a lot of good causes.
Okay.
That was really the underlying goal.
Well, that's a positive addiction.
Yeah, it was, because it was fun. It was I loved meeting people, the people I've met running, not only here in Columbus, but around the country.
Were there main philanthropies, like were there main causes that were more near and dear to you, or were they just?
As long as there was a race attached to it, that's what was near and dear to me that Sunday or Saturday or Thursday night or the second race on one of those days. Because if you do the math, Keri, you can't run 80 to 90 races a year and do one a day or once a week.
That's really
crazy.
That's out there.
That's crazy.
It's aggressive.
That's crazy.
But I like that. Did you have any weird rituals? Like, was there anything specific you would do after every race? Like, did you drink a beer? Did you have to have a specific?
Because I would leave immediately to go to work to give the golf lessons. And this worked out very well because I was at Wedgwood first when I first started. And then I went to Ohio State, and it was fun because people say, "Where do you work?" Well, I work at Ohio State. So I kind of felt as though, I was promoting the university doing these races. And I'd always have on some sort of a Buckeye colors that intermixed with the other greens and yellows and everything else that I had on. Because you've seen the outfits on the range. You can only imagine the outfits running.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. But anyway, it got to it was never a point of not being, your word was perfect, a positive addiction. Yeah.
So Nancy never said, "Hey, Doad.
No.
I'm getting a little sick of this."
Well, to the point where I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go to the races all the time with you, which was fine.
She never felt like you weren't putting her first.
Oh, trust me, Nancy's always first.
So speaking of that, there is something that I, kind of, I think is very cute and that you do. And,
do.
Okay. So you write something to Nancy
every day, every morning.
What was this morning?
Oh, I'll never tell what I write.
Oh, really?
No.
Good. Because my imagination is going haywire.
No.
Hey, Nancy.
No, it's not that
salacious. So you don't want my mind to go, because what you wrote, Nancy, is not okay in my head.
I pick out, and again, a song.
Okay.
And again, I listen to old music, like I said, orchestra music, and I'll listen to show tunes, and I'll pick out a song on the channel that I'm watching. Oh, that's a good song. So I'll write out the first few lyrics of that song, and then I'll take my note to her for that day and make it that. And we have a saying, "Love you more."
Yeah.
Because I always go to bed first. I mean, if somebody calls me after 8:30, and they're not going to get me because I'm in bed. Sorry, folks.
I'm in bed too.
But I'll go up to bed and I'll yell down, "Love you." And she'll say, "I love you too." And I said, "I love you more." And then we go back and forth more. Well, she actually had found a sign, "Love you more." And then this year for Christmas, she found a company that makes these wonderful little blankets. They're soft. She had Loving More put on it.
See, that can make me tear up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great.
It's not just great. It's everything. You know, it's like those little things that are so big.
They're huge.
They're everything.
And again, I will say this to everybody who's going to listen to this. I
have 17 subscribers, so don't worry.
They just phoned in? Oh, shit. Okay.
There's 18. There's 16. Just lost 2.
If you're not doing something like that, and again, I'm always overboard with stuff. If you don't do something like this once a week for your spouse, shame on you. I love sending my wife cards also. And when I do this, how do I put this part? I'll just say, I always put a $1 bill in the card. Just for whatever reason. You know,
it's just your little signature.
It's my little signature, yes. So,
really?
Really.
So wait, so every day when you do the note, is there $1 too?
No.
Okay.
I'm not rich enough.
Okay. I was going to say, compound effect of that. She's got her own little nest egg going on the side. You piss her off. So did she keep all the notes? See, I would keep all the notes in like a shoebox or something.
She has kept some.
But she loves it.
Oh, yeah. I like the note. Oh. Thank you, dear.
So on the opposite end, what do you do that absolutely, if she were here, what would she say is the one thing about you, whether it's, you lose your keys or you react too quickly or whatever, what's the one thing she would say right now, without a doubt, that just drives her crazy?
The react too quickly is a really good one. But the other one is the way I dress.
Really?
It drives her. Well, let's face it, Keri.
I think she'd love that.
I've got on white running pants today.
I think he looks just dapper.
It's the middle of winter. Okay, if she knew I had this on, she'd go nuts.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was feeling it when you walked up.
I get the outfits I put together when I go to the golf course. Of course, everything has a swoosh on it because luckily enough, I've been part of Nike's elite team for over 25 years. And to be almost 100 and they still think that I'm a viable
100% you are.
Because I love to promote, just like with golf clubs with Ping.
Well, that's why you get mad at me when I wear Adidas.
Hate Adidas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
Puma.
Back to you being old and being very reactive. So this has clearly been an Achilles heel for you throughout your life.
What?
Being very reactive. That's
sure.
It's a character flaw.
Oh, yeah.
So do you, since you are older, do you feel like, well, I'm old, you can't change me, I'm just reactive? Or do you try?
Oh, no, I try.
You try. So you try to put space in between.
Oh, yes.
When you feel the red, you put space in between the reaction.
If you were to ask Nancy, we will be married 33 years here in April 21st.
It's amazing.
Bless her heart. For her to put up with me for that long, you're right.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. The little joke she'll shoot me for this one. I'll say, someone say, well, how long have you guys been married? And she sits and she thinks and she thinks and she thinks. I said, 1990. It's not hard to subtract or add.
There you go. Oh, I'd kick your ass.
I know. She does. Yeah, she does. Anyway, but the reactionary part, I really try to not react as quickly. Now, there are times that, especially at the golf course, somebody's doing something and maybe they've been asked not to and they continue to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've seen you.
Not good.
Mm-hmm. And you'd be like, you'll say things under your breath like, you jackass, you dumbass. It's amazing. I
would never say that.
No, I'm making it up.
Would never say that.
I'm making it up. So how do you, though, let's dig into this. How, when you say I try, do you have an exercise? Do you have something that you're doing where you're like, okay, Doad, you're not to react for 18 seconds.
No.
You're just winging it.
I'm winging it. I wing my life.
Mm-hmm.
This right now, we're winging this.
Yeah, but it's a great wing.
Okay, this is my life.
Yeah.
It really is. I have winged well.
You have winged well.
I really have. I've been very fortunate.
Say that fast 10 times.
No way.
Try it.
No,
winged well.
That's it. I got to one. I've been very, very fortunate. Not only meeting Nancy, the people I've met with golf, the people I've met with running. And on that aspect, a gentleman by the name of Bill Rogers. People who know running do know the fact that Bill Rogers was one of the greatest marathoners ever, 4-time winner of Boston and the New York Marathon. He came to Columbus roughly 10 years ago for a book signing. I knew he was coming, and because the people at Fleet Feet, Jeff Henderson, had said something to me. I got his address, wrote him a couple months prior to that, a letter, again, old-fashioned, wrote a letter, handwritten.
Love it.
And when he came, I had his book. Nancy had gotten me the book, Idiot's Guide to Running. Those were the greatest books in the world, the Idiot's Guide to Everything.
Yeah.
So we were the last people to go up to say hello to him. And he looked at me and he goes, "You must be Doad." I go, "Why would you say that?" He said, "Because nobody else has said they're Doad." I said, "Okay."
Oh my God, that's I love it.
Well, he wanted to talk golf for at least an hour afterwards. They were ready to turn off the lights in the auditorium. Nancy finally goes, "Doad, we got to get out of here." He goes, "Okay, I'm running with the group tomorrow morning. Are you going to be there?" Well, yeah, I'll be there. I had a golf lesson with somebody who I knew wouldn't mind if I called and said, because I'm not a canceller. I'm really not.
But every once in a while there's a...
No, there isn't.
Well, that was.
That's a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
But we went out, and the surprising thing about that morning, he didn't want to be out running 7.5 minute mile. He wanted to be back with the people running the 9:30, 10-minute mile runs, which I thought was so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why several years later, Patrick qualified to run Boston. We go to Boston. I did the 5K a couple of days before that, which is, if you ever go to Boston and you're not in the marathon, even if you are, get in the 5K because it is a hoot. They have Rogers was there with several other well-known runners. And what they would do is they would started, again, in the middle of the pack and work their way back and forth, talking with people. And I was stupid enough to be up front, again, trying to win this race. And we got done. And when they came through, Bill came over and he said, "Did you win?" I go, "No." "Did you meet anybody?" "A couple people." "You'd have stayed back with me, you'd have met a whole lot of people and had a lot of fun."
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to segue right into this because I am now no longer able to run. Several years ago, I hurt my knee, and it wasn't really painful. It still isn't, but I'm almost bone on bone. They wanted to put a new knee in. Doctor said, "What kind of pain are you in?" I told him. I said, "Maybe 0.5% on a scale of 1 to 10. He goes, doesn't bother you?" I said, "If I get out of a chair or if I stand around too long, yeah, it takes me a second or two to loosen it up." I said, "But fuck, I'm old. It's gonna, no matter what it is." But anyway, so I went up to the first on the first, and I walked it. And it was completely different because I'm at the back of the pack. I knew these people. I'd seen them. We were friends, but I got to chat with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much fun. It was a riot.
Yeah.
So.
You declined already to give me any sort of hot gossip on any of the pro golfers, which I totally understand. But what is what's the craziest thing you've seen on a golf course, or who is the biggest prick? Not their names, but you can tell a scenario. Like, does anything stand out
sure.
on the golf course that's like, this was a moment?
Well, sure. The moment I can tell you the pro's name was Peter Jacobson. We were at the Memorial Tournament. Had a rain delay, long rain delay. And I had become very good friends with his caddy, Fluff. And he came over to me, he said, we're headed to the practice tee, they're going to send us out. Now it's 6:00 at night. Peter had 12 or 13 holes to play. And we were almost literally running. The groups were almost running to get, because they don't want to come back the next morning. They don't want to have to finish up. We get off this, jogging off the 17th green. Peter goes, how fast can you run over to the 18th tee? He said, pretty fast. Why? He said, please run over there. See if they're already teed off. So I did, turn around, ran back. I said, yep, they're off. He jogs over, throws a tee in the ground, hits the ball so that the rest of the guys coming off the green can tee off and finish. We finished, literally in the dark. It was hilarious. It was muddy. So, yeah, it was fun.
Any altercations? Any anyone that was just not showing the code of conduct, and you were like, hey, No,
it's at a professional event.
Anywhere, just on any golf course.
Oh, I do it all the time. I do. And again, the guys back at the shop, they're laughing their butts off right now because they know I do. I see somebody smoking a cigarette they're not supposed to be out. And I walk up to them. I'll say, sir, I'm sorry. It's a non-smoking facility. Well, why? I said, it's part of the Ohio State University golf course. I said, you don't get to smoke here. Well, I can smoke at any other golf course. I said, not here. I have no problem telling people.
No, I know. I think you kind of you're really good at it.
Thank you.
And the boys back at the shop are like, oh yeah, they probably have Doadisms and
they do.
People probably come in with all kinds of stories about you.
Special people coming in that don't match dress code in jeans.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. It's hilarious. It's because they stand there and they'll look out the one window of the shop to see how long I'm going to let somebody get up close to the range before I tell them, so sorry, you need rain pants over those. Go buy a pair of shorts. Go put a pair of pants on. I'm not playing golf today in those.
Well, it all comes back to the respect.
Yes.
And the appreciation that you have for yourself, for people around you, for the course, for the game of golf.
Thank you.
And I think your mom raised a really good human.
Well,
maybe flawed.
Definitely flawed.
We're all flawed, but I think she did a really damn bang up job with you, Doad.
Wouldn't blame me. She did just as well with my sister too.
You tell me I met your sister briefly. Didn't she have the truck out?
She had the food truck out there. Yes, she did. Yes.
So you brought this. We're going to end this podcast with. God, so speaking of, if you don't want to, we don't have to. We will. You brought this to me, and I appreciate it very much.
This is something that this was the last thing my mother ever sent to me.
Is this her handwriting? Oh.
This is a prayer that was in the church bulletin that she cut out.
Would you like to read it, or would you like me to read it?
I can recite it. I recited at least.
Go ahead.
5 times. Folks, sorry. Here come tears. Big time. Okay. I said a prayer for you today. I knew God must have heard. I felt the answer in my heart, although it spoke no word. I didn't ask for health or fame. I knew you wouldn't mind. I asked him to bring you treasures of a far more lasting kind. I asked that he be with you at the start of each new day, to grant you health and blessings and friends to share your way. I asked for happiness for you in all things great and small, both for his loving care. I prayed for most of all.
That's really amazing.
I have passed that out to, needless to say, our children. with a couple other very special people. And I get the same reaction that you're giving me now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cheers.
It's pretty, but it's amazing.
It is. It's very simple, very short, but it is so meaningful, so heartfelt.
And I thank you for considering me someone special enough to give it to. I will hold this near and dear to my heart.
It's going to cost you double the next time you take a lesson, though.
Doad,
yeah.
This has been so much fun.
Keri, thank you.
I can't say how much. I really appreciate your time. Those of you out there that want to follow Doad, too bad he doesn't have social media because he's old. He's a fossil. I think we've already mentioned that. But you can call Paul Revere and have Paul Revere courier something to Doad, or you can find him on the Ohio State golf course. And I will tell you, I've been taking lessons with Doad, and my golf confidence, swag, I am just loving it like I never thought I would. So Doad, again,
Keri,
much love. Thank you.
Same to you.
And to everybody out there, please follow me on YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, keep moving.